We're here to review In the Heights. This will be a spoiler review, just so you guys know. So we're going to go over the whole story. And Nick, let's get right into it. What were your thoughts on the film?
It's um I'm trying to like choose my words like in the like say exactly like what I mean to say. Because it's interesting because I've listened to the soundtrack. I've been a fan of like the stage production for like a while now. And so like I'm I'm of one mindset where like it's the classic like adaptation thing where it's like, oh, they changed that, like they moved this around. Not sure how that I feel about that particular change, but it's also like, like with the Harry Potter movies, they don't exactly take everything from the books, but like if you judge them just as movies, then they're like pretty solid. And I have to do that here. I tried to do the same here. But then there's also some things just like movie wise, I was like, that's an interesting choice. But also I can see like I could see all the heart and like the passion that was put into this project. And I think like this is like something I'm probably gonna be rewatching like two or three more times before like it leaves Max or whatever. Um it's a really fun time and like it's a really like the music's just great, and I think it's a very like just fun time. And just for general thoughts, I'll cap it there before we get into specifics. But not too bad
Yeah,
overall, not too bad. It was a fun time. I saw it with my friends. It was a good memory.
yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'd say John Chu. I mean, fantastic direction for the film. Um, just really brought energy through the way that he shot it. And there's one sequence in particular, the dancing on the walls,
Yeah,
on the outside of the walls of the
yeah.
building. And I just don't know how they shot that. Like, I'd be so curious to see how they shot that, because that was pretty stunning to me.
Yeah.
Um, but I think just the character work was really fantastic. And I'm someone who doesn't really normally like musicals. I really love this film. Uh, I think it just kind of it does really a really good job at getting hyper specific in how it represents the culture, especially with Usnavi, with someone who's trying to connect back to their home country, even though that's not like, he talks about, Sonny says like he has island fever, right? Um, which is a generation that's trying to connect back to their original heritage from the island they came from. Um, and I know, like, being Dominican myself, that's something that I've always been trying to do, is trying to connect back to the mother country more. And so I found that really relatable personally. And just the way that the whole story's orchestrated, the storytelling device where he's on the island, which for someone who hasn't seen the play, you don't know that he's not going to go to the DR. I'm like, oh, this is his journey to the DR. And then at the end, that twist, for me, hit. I didn't see it coming. Maybe most people did, but I didn't see it coming. And I think that really was effective storytelling. Uh, and without getting the details and everything else, I just thought it was great. The music was great. I have one little critique, but that's it. And we'll get into that later. Nick, let's get into some of the more nitty gritty stuff. What Was there a performance that stood out for you? Were there certain scenes that stood out for you? Like, what in particular?
I think for sure the opening number and the 96,000, aka the pool number, were done spectacularly. I think just like that, like those were that's the show's big numbers. And I think like Jon M Chu pulled those two off like incredibly. I was just in love with like I was just in love with those sequences. I thought just the energy, the way it was shot and edited, I think it was just like fantastic. I was so in love, in particular, just like um in particular 96,000, just like the way it just took place in like that, like the one area. I thought it was just so like it was so beautiful. It was just so like so exciting. It's such a great like hype event, and it's just really cool because that's one of like the few moments you do get to see like this large cast like all together. So it's just those two in particular were really exciting. um Anthony Ramos as Usnavi is very great as a lead. I think he's very charming. I think he's very down to earth. Um, he was the performance that really like I think like I just as the protagonist that really kept me locked into the story. And then again, just Jon M Chu is like really good at what he does. Like I think we all found out about it like only 3 years ago with Crazy Rich Asians, and um now his career is taking off as it should. And I think this is definitely going to be a great like feather to have in his cap. I think he does a spectacular job here as well as he did in Crazy Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna tackle on because I thought Anthony Ramos was really spectacular.
Yeah.
And I think his performance gets better as you go farther in the film, which it should, because it's as the character progresses,
Yeah.
you really get a look at into who Usnavi really is, and he does a really great job of doing that. And a guy who's torn between two worlds, right? Like going back home,
Mhm.
and kind of it's the burden of family, and you can really feel the burden that he carries on his shoulder of like his parents' legacy, and like how does he deal with that, and at the same time, like being on the block, and you can very much tell the block is his home.
Yeah.
um, so I think him being torn between the two worlds, I think that works really well. I also want to say the kid who plays Sony, I wish I could
Yeah.
remember.
Sunny. Yeah. Gregory Diaz.
Yeah, Gregory
He,
Diaz, he kills it.
dude, you can tell he's having so much fun like in that role. Yes. Sorry, I interrupted. You could keep going.
I mean, just from the start, when his first line is like, you love me," like from there, he had me. That was hilarious. That was like a great way of introducing the character and his attitude.
Mm.
Um, and then as you slowly peel the layers, you find out from Mark Anthony, who plays his father, um, that he's an undocumented immigrant.
Mhm.
And then Sony finds that out at the protest,
Yeah.
and just how that changes his world. And then it playing into the 96,000 musical sequence when we find out that Abuela won
Yeah.
the lottery and just had saved it for Usnavi, and Usnavi decides to use it to support Sony because Sony's like his little brother.
Mhm.
Um, and Sony saying, "I'm gonna fight." That whole story I felt was really powerful, and I think Gregory Diaz as Sony really did a great job of going from someone who may have just been like a two-dimensional, like lighthearted, fun character to like a really important character in the story.
Right.
Nick, what else stood out to you as far as like, let's talk about the I don't know if it's a B story is necessarily fair, but the other love story, which is
Yeah.
between Corey Hawkins and
Leslie Grace.
yes. What were your
Um,
thoughts on that?
Honestly, in my opinion, I think they did those two characters dirty just in translation from the stage. I think they had a much richer relationship originally, and I think like Hawkins and Grace like keep it alive enough because of just their own performances. I just feel like there's like a whole like subplot missing concerning like Benny's relationship to Nina's dad, and like it feels like it's a much more hollowed out version than what was originally. And I just feel like especially near the end it just kind of like randomly like just peters out in comparison to
Mhm.
everything else. Like it's I was like that was just one of the aspects I was like split on, because like I did enjoy it and I think the two had great chemistry together. I just feel like it's a much hollower version than the source material. And like it's something like I've been going back and forth on since I've seen it, because it's just a richer relationship in on stage. But it feels like they like there's a whole love song between the two that they cut, and like that love song is fantastic and it says so much about the relationship, but they cut it I guess for time or whatnot. And I don't know, but again it's just something I've been going back and forth on.
All right, Nick, as we cut in and out of connection, hopefully we can get this. What were your thoughts about Vanessa and her whole story arc throughout the film in
I
conjunction with
Yeah.
Usnavi?
Um. Well, just another one of the changes I did enjoy from the original production. They gave her a little more depth than usual. The whole fashion design thing is not present in the original production, so just something to give her a little more, something to give the character more to do. Um, I feel like I was in a place of like I like you guys, but I'm not like in love with you guys type thing. Just like I think Ramos and what's her name, Melissa Barrera had really great chemistry. But I don't know. I feel like especially again near the end, the second half, like there was just a lot going on that like when it did like they had their big like heel turn moments. I was like feels a bit like we could just use maybe like a 5 minute other thing just to like set this up. I mean, like otherwise, I was like, um, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them. It was it was like it was just good chemistry, and like I wasn't like bored with it.
Yeah. I know for me, I thought the fashion designing really did was helpful
Mhm.
in kind of creating that bond between the two. And
Yeah,
I think that that whole setup for Usnavi deciding to, find someone to co-sign for her so she could get an apartment downtown. That whole part, I think that really fits in, and it's really does a good job of both fleshing out her
yeah,
character, and fleshing out Usnavi. And I just always think that's good screenwriting when you can have an art do two things at the same time.
yeah.
Um, and then I really like the build up. I think it's really fun how he doesn't like to dance, and just
Mhm.
that back and forth
Mhm.
while they're on the dance floor right before the blackout.
Yeah,
Um, and I think the whole scene that leads up to this, and I forgot about this. We have to talk about the grandmother,
yeah.
and we'll get
I
to
love
that in a
yeah.
second.
Mhm.
And I love the final bit of the arc where she is like having her not writer's block, her designer's block,
Yeah,
and she find these little rags, and they build the a little bit of the DR from the island
yeah,
into the shop. And I really thought that was a beautiful moment. Nick, let's move on to the grandmother, and then we're going to get into final
yeah.
thoughts. Um, I think the grandmother might be the strongest part of the story, and just how she connects the whole community.
Mhm.
Um, but what were your thoughts on that, on the grandmother, and then that final sequence with her?
No, she's a great like mentor like figure, and it's the same actress actually from the original production, so it's a role she's inherently familiar with. She's great. She's great. I mean, it's the role. It's she knows the role. I think her big number is shot really well. Um, I just wish it came in a different spot. It doesn't unfold like that in this. I don't want to make it a whole like, oh, they changed this, they changed this. Because like I'm okay with changes, like using the Harry Potter example if they like work, and I just feel like putting Paciencia Fe like after like two very chaotic energy driven songs, like uh it's a huge like like just so much is happening, and I feel like putting it, and I like they did change the placement of the song. I think just even like if they wanted to move it like later into the story, would have just given the character and given the whole like circumstances of everything like time to breathe. So I feel like, and I feel like it sapped a little of the impact away, which is unfortunate because I really did like how that was shot. That was probably alongside the opening number and 96,000. That's probably one of my favorite shot numbers of the movie. That was just really well done. I just wish it came at a different point.
Yeah, I know for me, I was a big fan of that whole arc. I don't know if I needed the music. It's one of those things where it's me not being a massive fan of musicals
Mhm.
coming in conjunction with I'm watching a musical,
Yeah,
where it's like you kind of have to accept that that's how the genre is going to work, but at the same time, you feel like I feel like I have the impact already from everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
And the musical number is more reinforcing than giving you new information. And
Yes.
so in that way, I feel like I don't know if I need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if it's even if it was less, that final moment where they have Paciencia y Fe
Yeah.
um, on the wall,
Hmm.
right as Usnavi comes in before he's about to leave and finally decides to
Hmm.
stay, I
Right.
think it would have been just as impactful.
Hmm.
And so I don't know if I need that, but I like you said, it was shot really well, but I don't know if that musical number was necessary to complete her arc and her
Right.
kind of her cement her legacy through the film.
Yeah. It was like that like because that was like a to back like quartet of songs. It was just like that's a big like emotional number, and it's like it precedes a very chaotic number, and it precedes a very another emotional song, and it's just like we need time to like breathe and like calm down for a bit. So yeah, no, it was just awkwardly placed in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Nick, let's get into final thoughts before we
Yeah.
wrap up. So we're going to start off with you, Nick. What were some of the other things that you want to talk about as far as the general story or
Yeah.
structuring?
Um, they butchered my favorite song, so I don't know how to think. I my favorite song is Blackout, and that song is probably the most heavily changed out of all of them, I think. And so I was just very like let down by that, but that's also just because it's my favorite song. It's completely like subjective thing. Um, I'm just trying to think. I would have just again just preferred some just maybe reorganization of like an emphasis on like Benny, like for a story about community, like I feel like maybe just there's some like just like shifts in the writing because given we could have presented more of like Benny and Nina and Abuela Claudia, like just like not that there was anything wrong with them. Like I think there was just still like room to like give them more essentially. Just on like I don't know, like again, like I think Benny and Nina's relationship was just kind of like shallowly written. Um, but like I mean, just to move on to try and end on a positive note again, Jon M Chu, very excited to see where his career goes. Like I can't see this not being like another massive like boost for him. Um, I would love to see this cast get a cat ensemble notice. I have no idea what comes out the rest of this year, but like I really hope they get at the very least a recognition because I think they deserve it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's just very like it's a very good time. Like in some ways, it worked out that this was one of the first. This and like A Quiet Place were like the perfect movies to reopen theaters with. Like without a doubt, you get everything. You cover both ends of the spectrum with these two movies. So it's really exciting that this was one of the first ones out there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is a great movie to go see. I think for anyone that is a fan of musicals, this will deliver. I was not a fan of musicals, and this film really delivered to me. Right now, it's my second favorite film of the year, only behind A Quiet Place. Um, but I think I really enjoyed it. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.